Today we will talk about and analyze Berthe Morisot's Under the Orange Tree. The work was made in 1889 and now resides in the Nelson Atkins Museum of Art in Kansas City. Berthe Morisot worked in France alongside many Impressionists. This particular work depicts her daughter, Julie, in a garden next to a green parrot. The painting will be analyzed through the inclusion of the parrot because it can give us a greater understanding of the space, Julie, and the artist herself. Birds already carried many connotations in art, conveying sexuality, domesticity, and companionship. Let's take a dive into previous uses of birds in art to establish a background for its use in Under the Orange Tree. In Dutch paintings, the use of the bird gave viewers an erotic interpretation of the scene. This likely came from the conflation between the words for birds and the words for sex in the Dutch language. To bird gained the same meaning as having sex. In Pieter de Hock's painting Couple with Parrot, he alludes to something sexual between the couple through the inclusion of the caged bird. The bird becomes a proxy for their desires for each other. Many artists were painting birds with an erotic subtext leading up to the late 1800s, and Morisot showed her art in many salons and exhibitions alongside them. Courbet painted Woman with a Parrot, which was entered into the 1866 Salon. The bird in the painting was originally a male suitor coming to see the naked woman below. Courbet painted a bird over the suitor to imply the explicit nature of the scene. The bird was a suitable substitute due to its implications of sex and virginity. Another artist working before Morisot was Greuze, and he frequently used the symbol of the bird to imply eroticism. In the painting Girl with the Dead Canary, the dead and uncaged bird represents negligence and a loss of innocence. This is usually linked with a loss of virginity. But is Morisot using the bird to comment on her daughter's sexuality? No, not really. In Under the Orange Tree, the bird cage is not in view of others. Therefore, there is no one for the bird or Julie to appeal to. Though the scene is located outside, it is enclosed and private. Morisot is the only other implied member of the scene because she is the one capturing it. Julie's body is also entirely clothed, and her legs are barely visible. Additionally, the green parrot in Morisot's painting is still within its cage, and there is no implication that Julie is anything more than an innocent child. So what is Morisot trying to convey to viewers through the inclusion of the green parrot? It is more likely that Morisot included the parrot as a symbol of the domestic. As a woman in France, Morisot was not allowed to travel the cities on her own, and was left to paint domestic spaces on the outskirts of Paris. The green parrot in its cage represents women in domestic spaces. The composition's background appears flat due to the foliage that obscures distant objects and people, preventing intruders from entering. This also creates tension between the foreground and background, keeping the viewer focused on the visible objects in the foreground. The space created is one only for Julie and her mother. By bringing the caged bird outside, Morisot is also implying that this is still a domestic space. The symbol of the caged bird could also represent women trapped in the domestic sphere. Morisot and Julie become trapped themselves, not allowed to venture out on their own. In Under the Orange Tree, Julie's pose is submissive, and the curling of her body makes her appear small. The surrounding tree branches and plants encircle and entrap her within the garden. With no other identifiable objects in the background or on the sides, there is no means of escape for Julie. In addition to the foliage, the dark foreground surrounds Julie, while the light and warmth is off in the distance, currently unattainable. The green parrot becomes Julie's companion in the lonely scene, as Julie becomes Morisot's companion. The bird can also be read as a companion for Julie, as many women of the bourgeois bought parrots to keep them company while stuck in their homes. Anthropomorphic pets, such as parrots, best satisfied the need for human connection when alone. When viewing Julie under the tree, she does not seem completely alone because the parrot is at her side. The green parrot looks at Julie's hand, creating a connection. Julie looks out at the viewer and the person capturing the scene, Morisot. As the green parrot provides Julie with a human-like companion, Julie plays a similar role for her mother. Morisot's closest friend and older sister Edma spent less time with the artist when Edma became a mother. Morisot is trying to find new companionship in her daughter. This is why Julie might appear to be caged, like the green parrot, in Under the Orange Tree. Morisot uses the symbol of the bird to convey meaning to the viewer that the garden or Julie could not provide. Even though birds in art previously brought an erotic tone to their works, Julie herself is not eroticized. Instead, the use of the caged bird strengthens the painting's domestic aspects. Morisot uses the bird to convey entrapment within the domestic sphere, and must look to her daughter for companionship.